Hello and welcome to Loyalty Cup. Today we're doing a little something different for you guys. Before we jump into that though, we usually say our names. My name is Richie.
My name's Sean.
Andy.
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about Bo Burnham's Unreleased movie, his script that was blacklisted back in 2003. If you don't know what blacklisted is...
Thank you.
What did I say?
2003.
2013.
And blacklisted does not mean what I thought it meant.
No, actually, for those of you who don't know what blacklisted means, it's essentially a list that comes out every year of the most liked scripts from the year, that same year, right? So it comes out in December, not necessarily the best, but like the most enjoyed, the most liked, which is kind
marketable.
I think that's kind of the idea. So people make a lot of money from these scripts. In fact, this script has been picked up to be produced. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to have a fun conversation about it. If you like that conversation, if you like what we're doing, we're kind of trying something new, definitely let us know. We'd love to hear some feedback. We'd love to hear if you'd like to, if you'd like for us to go about this in a different way. Today we're talking about fat
girl and little chick.
Gay kid and fat chick.
Gay kid and fat chick from writer-director now, Bo Burnham.
Writer, director, poet,
comedian,
Vine artist,
showman,
musician, YouTube sensation,
medicine,
boy wonder,
thick,
tall,
thick as
big boy.
Yeah. So this is an exciting script to jump into because Bo Burnham, it has a very anticipated movie coming out, 8th Grade. It's a movie I'm excited about. The trailer is killer. A24, distribution company we really love. This is a nice glimpse into maybe what that movie could be, though I feel like it's going to be nothing like that movie.
Well, to be fair, so he wrote, whenever he wrote it says 2013 on the thing, that's when it was blacklisted. Now, 2018, 5 years later, it's probably been reworked. We have to acknowledge that. There's probably another draft out there we don't have access to. So there's a little bit of this that may be unfair to the final product.
I'm going to try some wild card move here. Sean,
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a brief synopsis of what happens?
Yeah, all right. Two outcast students in the later years of high school decide that they're not going to take it anymore and decide to take matters into their own hands using violence as a means to get what they want and what they deserve.
We're not gonna take it anymore.
Not the dance, but you can sing. What did you think about it?
Yeah, let's hear that.
I liked it. I mean, when I read things, I usually want to finish them, but this actually did keep. I mean, I didn't. A movie you can.
You follow
like,
through. You follow
a movie
through.
you can
Yeah.
say
You
this
finish the
sucks.
books you
I'm
read.
gonna
Oh, wow.
Novel concept, right?
Yeah.
So no, the script seemed to flow really well, and scene to scene, everything made sense. It was cohesive. It's a lot really dialogue driven, but it has very limited scenes. You have the high school, you have their car, you have one or two party places, and maybe the main character's bedroom. So it's kind of an easy read the first time through. I assume that they're probably going to rework it and make it a little more nuanced and complicated in terms of locations or I'm kind of interested to see how they build this into something bigger.
We start with a motivation that I think is actually kind of strong and built pretty well in the script, right? I know exactly what it is that's going on with these main characters. You have these two people that are kind of disenfranchised because of how they look or how they are. And I think, that's something that we can all, right, identify with. Is it a little cheesy the way it starts off? Is it a little bit disconnected from our current reality? Yeah. And it's a 5-year-old script. I don't think coming out now in exactly the way that it's built, it makes as much sense.
I have a question. Whether or not she's actually fat or is she just a large girl? Because they say she's obese but beautiful, which is an oxymoron.
And she is the goalie on the field hockey team, so she's an athlete. And even after she takes the photo, she's pumping iron in her bedroom.
Pumping iron. She runs all over the school.
You can be a big, strong, but not commercially attractive person. I think that type of person exists.
So right away in the first few pages of the script, technology is mentioned multiple times, and it's used in a way that affects the main character negatively.
Mm-hmm. So, but you enjoyed the script.
So did I.
I think it was good too.
No, you didn't.
Not enjoyable, but I thought it was written well. It definitely makes sense it's like someone printed out a kind of like a Mad Libs for a script. And it gave you the whole thing, and then you just kind of fill it in.
That's
and now
pretty
you
good,
got your movie.
Yeah.
And with that same idea, I think that idea of the the finished script was written with the intention of having it being redone, which I absolutely think it would have to be punched up, adapted to our current climate with school violence and all of that, which has come a long way in 5 years. Because of that violence, I think that it would have had to been dropped down a few grades, have it be more of a junior high setting as opposed to like a high school. Because in high school, I don't really think you can get away with dressing up as a teddy bear and just punching people and getting your way. I think you would have to take it a little bit further, because you're essentially dealing with adults. You would have to use weaponized violence, and then it's a completely different movie.
I don't know if it necessarily has to be, because if the end goal is to have the bloodiest, pulpiest thing, sure. But if the end goal is comedy, I feel like a lot of these sequences where their revenge is being taken out could just be fun, over-the-top action sequences.
Right, but I think that would translate better into a junior high setting, because if your target audience is actual kids, because that I think is a more turbulent time, because you used to have recess, now you don't. Now you're taking showers with your friends, and there's a lot of there's the same type of not fitting in and going through changes that you would experience in junior high, and it would be a better platform, I think, for this cartoonish violence. High school is such a serious time. Mm-hmm. You can't really have this kind of silly, fun, we'll just punch everyone with our stuffed hands and make everything cool. I don't think it would work that way.
Well, I think what you're saying is supported by the fact that Bo Burnham just made a movie called 8th Grade, and I think this may have been like a jumping point for him, write the script. I don't know when he wrote 8th Grade, but I think that they're definitely related. And I think there's even a joke that's used in the trailer for 8th Grade that's in this movie. Someone says something to another student like, "Oh, cool shirt," and like, "Oh, thanks," whatever. And it's such a small little comment, but you realize that it can be the most awkward, tense situation when you're at that point.
That being said, I have not seen, obviously, 8th Grade yet, and so I really am interested to see how much of this script ends up in 8th grade, and how is Bo Burnham just going to be the fat junior high girl guy? Does he know, is he the fat girl whisperer? I just can't see it as a movie, especially following 8th grade. It seems like you would take your favorite parts from this script, put it into this movie. Mm-hmm. I can't see this movie coming out after.
So I've been able to watch a lot of what Bo Burnham's done, and the comedy, can be hit or miss as with anybody, but what ends up really landing for me in the way that he communicates is this sort of empathetic tone. I think a lot of the stuff that he does, he's very thoughtful about, and gets to a place where it really gets to some sort of emotional core. And I think this movie, as insane as it is, as raw as some of the jokes in the beginning are, they really need to be reworked, really need to be redone in a way that's actually funny.
Punch up the script.
Punch up, definitely. But I do think it does get to some emotional core, this idea that you do want to incite revenge, but it doesn't stop there, because what ends up happening is you find out that those situations are a lot more nuanced, they're not so binary. And so, that actually helped me see 8th grade with a new lens. I have an idea of what I think 8th grade might feel like based on this, but it's definitely deep in there. It's hidden underneath the beaver going around punching people and the gay kid wearing fake boobs and the really bad dialogue. But I do see some future connection going in there.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Bo Burnham as a person, what he does. It's obviously not for me, mm-hmm. and I can accept that, and move on and just see a good dude doing good things. And that does come through in this film. There's touching parts. There are parts that, are touching and sweet, and you feel for the characters, and that's nice. It would have been great as a children's cartoon episode, and this could have been adapted into a 30-minute, fun episode of some cartoon. Well, Pepper Ann comes to mind. The
Angry Beavers.
At least that would allow them to have this nerfed down violence, but the way this movie is written, I assume, is taken in a serious enough way that kind of falls flat when you don't have consequences for the extreme violence. They basically get away with everything.
Yeah. See, I don't know if they do, because there's this kind of ending part where it's wait, we have to do high school for another year. It's basically you're going to make us live in our worst nightmare for an additional year.
They're doing another year as the people who literally fought every bully in school. They have nothing to worry about. They basically come back as badasses. The girl comes back, her cherry's popped. the gay kid gets to kiss other gay guys. You know what I mean? They're basically getting a chance to redo their year with cheats. You know what I mean? They're superstars now.
They leveled up.
They leveled up. So now they get to do it all again, you know, which is more of a reward than a consequence.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been a real consequence when they went for the archery kids that were hanging out in the barn behind the school, and the kids shot arrows with him, or shot arrows at him. And then Alex was wearing a helmet, so they just conveniently got out of any real harm. Alex and Maggie still went, tied him up, and then berated them and threatened to hurt him or whatever. There's just no consequence.
I think one of them got hit with a dildo, and that whole archery scene is really when I thought it was going to take, you know, a dark turn. That one of them was going to catch an arrow in the gut.
It should have.
It should have. But again, it was just slapstick. It was a cartoon. There was really no consequences, even when faced with real, actual danger. Excuse me.
See, and I guess maybe for me, I don't really have I don't have a huge problem with that. I think it's dealing with complex topics, but not super mature topics. And if what it turns into is like a bloodless Shaolin soccer with a beaver like kicking people and like really animated action scenes, I think I'd be fine with it.
And that's a good point too, is that I found myself being very critical of the script just because it was just kind of boring for me. Like I saw it as, you know, a great A to B to C type script. You know, you get through the story and it moves at a good pace, you know, and you get, it's good enough. But then I had to sit there and think about like, well, really I have to blame myself as a poor director in my own head, because I'm creating the movie as I'm watching it or as I'm reading it, and I'm not doing a very good job. Maybe I'm not being super creative with what they could do with this script. So I think that's a fair point to bring up, that someone could do something cool with this script as long as they punch it up, they make it funny, which I think is it's lacking.
That's the key part, right? As long as you can make it funny and all basically the same and it works, you can make it funny and amp up the action, and then you really got something, I think.
Yeah, up the consequences, you know, have something kind of at stake. You would have to have a little more nuance with gay kids and fat girls in this day and age. I think 5 years is a long time, and things, you know, perceptions have changed.
People aren't afraid of gay kids anymore. Gay kids, there are gay kids all over the place.
Yeah.
We love gay kids. I think
my perception of it is...
Yeah, I think the like cultural consensus is more accepting of gay people, and for that reason, I just don't know if the gay kid in this movie, simply for being gay, is going to work the same that it would have 5 years ago.
Right, you can't be... like, just have that be your persecution, is you are a gay kid.
I could see it working for like a trans kid.
Something like that, because he's quite openly gay. People are always calling him names, which
are the coolest gays. Like, we love those gays.
Love the gays.
Yes.
But it's just, you have to have, for me, you have to have more to your character. And actually, he doesn't seem to be bullied. He seems very much like he is, as much as anyone else is. He's able to stand up for himself. He never like shies away from someone giving him a hard time.
He's very confident.
He's very confident and confrontational. He does not need this beaver situation. And the girl really doesn't need the beaver situation either.
No,
she's fully capable of just going up there and punching one of these girls in the face.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the story, is be yourself and get out there and it's just a trite cliche. Like, just, you don't need the suit. You are the beaver. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think you need to work on that a little bit more before.
The way I read it is that Bo Burnham is using these as access points, but really he's kind of ripping on technology, bringing people into the light of bullying these days, how much easier it becomes, right? Because as we discussed earlier, it starts with her getting an anonymous email, then she takes the nude selfie and it accidentally gets sent out to half the kids at the school or whatever.
That's so weird. That is not the messaging I got from this
well,
at all. Yeah.
The reason I read into it that way is that when she first gets on the beaver costume and she's beating up all the girls in the locker room, she specifically destroys one of the girls' phones and then the other girl's MacBook.
So it's like the Unabomber.
And she's like, I think part of it is Bo Burnham blaming technology for making bullying easier
like the
these
Unabomber.
days.
That was his whole stance. You know, modern technology
is ruining
making
people.
your quality of life less than.
Well, it's not just the Unabomber. I think a lot of people are adopting that idea. Like, I think a lot right now. It's 2018, and people's thoughts are very divided, and bullying online is in excess. So I agree with that consensus. It's just weird because that script doesn't say that to me.
Well, I mean, even if you look at 8th grade that's coming out, you know, they say, oh, how long have you had I forgot what they say, YouTube page or Instagram or something, and it's such a large part of that movie too, from what I can tell.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this scene, the 8th grade from the trailer I've seen, just looks like a rewrite of this script. So I'm really wondering what anyone's going to do with it. It kind of
like this to me, it does say something. I think that is important, even if it is trite, right? It's all we can do is kind of tell these same messages in different and new ways.
Sure.
On that idea of what a director could do with it, right? If I like my pipe dream person to like run with this sort of script. First off, Edgar Wright I think would be a really interesting choice, though he would never ever do the script, I don't think. But Edgar Wright and the sort of things that he did with like Scott Pilgrim and even the stylist stuff that he did like in Baby Driver, I think could be really interesting. But the people that I think could save this script, who have saved previous scripts and who've saved previous properties, are like the Lord and Miller directors, right? They're these directing duo that directed 21 Jump Street. And because they were able to do something with a property that shouldn't have done well, they went and did a Lego Movie. And that also is a property that had no business being good.
So you see
but I love
this
the Lego Movie
as being because the Lego movies are kind of banking on other franchises doing their thing. Throw one in a beaver suit, you think we have a hit. Lego Movie.
God, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I'm so glad that got through.
I really do think a huge character in this is the technology aspect too.
You know, it's just like a horror movie where no one has a cell phone, or like they just change the world that you live in. This movie exists in our world, you know, using our technology, which is nice. And in doing so, it is, you know, tied to these devices as well, just like real life would be.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as the way that I read it in the script. It's definitely like an element, but not so much more than you see in other sort of teen dramas now. Like you see people being on their phones, being on there. And so to me, it was just kind of this natural backdrop. This idea of it being like a big theme in there, I think could be interesting. I feel like 8th grade will kind of get in that direction. And now I understand like these like really close similarities that these have. I feel like this could become a movie I like, you know? A dumb action movie like Kick-Ass, like Scott Pilgrim. And yeah, I'm excited about what happens with it. As usual, Sean and I don't agree. But doesn't mean this script is not worth checking out. It doesn't mean the script is not going to be a good movie. Could also come out being a dudder. We don't know. There's a lot of things left up in the air. If you'd like for us to do more things like this, definitely let us know. Drop a like if you like. If you don't, at least subscribe. I wish that rhymed. Oh, that almost did.
Yeah, just sign up for a dumb account and just give us the like and subscribe, and then use your real one. Who cares, dude? Just give us the numbers.
Yeah. If you're ashamed of watching our videos, make a fake account. Just watch it that way.
Just put on an alligator suit and be a different person. Start doing the things you really want to do. And subscribe. Be the person you want to see in the world.
And with that,
there's a wet spot right here.
good night.